Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to be bringing you this episode because it is exactly what you've been asking. That's right, we are doing a Q&A episode because I'm so excited. I did a poll a few weeks ago asking you guys if we hung out and sat down one-on-one, what are some of the top questions you'd want to hear from me? So I'm just gonna dive right into them in old school fashion. I printed them out, if you're watching this, printed them out so that I can read them out, but let's just get right into it. I'm gonna try and get through as many of your questions as possible so that you can get the answers that you've been wanting. All right, commission Tay _ Layton asks, commission versus booth rent. What are your views on both ends? That's such a good question. Now, I started out in the industry for 10 years as a commission stylist, so I really liked it. It worked really great for me, but then I got to a point where I wanted to do things a little bit differently. I had ideas about how, if I had my own business, how I'd want to do it. So I actually never booth rented, but I went right away into owning my own business and having my own space. The reason why I did that was because I really wanted control over that atmosphere and the energy in the room, and that's what I really loved, was developing these relationships and connections through the atmosphere, through the environment, through the experience that I got to create for my clients. So Tay, unfortunately, I don't have much to say about booth rent because I know with booth rent, I believe you may have to still follow some overlying rules of the space, but I'm very pro be your own boss because you get to call the shots. It doesn't mean necessarily that you get there's I don't want to say less to do. There's pros and cons to it, but I think the pros far outweigh the cons. And cons just being you have to think about a lot of other things. When you're a commission stylist, you get to show up and do your work, and the reason why you get paid a commission is that other percentage is going to your boss to help run the salon and all the things you don't have to do. So to kind of not really answer your question, but to answer it, I think if you're someone who's ambitious, driven, because I know I've struggled with feeling like I'm a lazy person, but if you have big dreams and hopes of what you'd like to create, go ahead and become self-employed. I have never regretted it. There have been days where I think going back an employee kind of seems like it would be nice, but when I really sit down and think about it, I'd never trade it for the world. All right, next question. If you could do something over in your career again, what would it be? That's from Ariel R. Stylist. If I could do something over again in my career, what would it be? You know, one of the most things I feel the most shame about in my career is that I left Australia so quickly. Now, if you don't know, my sweater really doesn't want to stay on if you're watching this, you guys. And my podcast is both on the podcast, but also you can be watching it on YouTube right now. So if you are not watching and you're listening, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So if you didn't know a little bit about my history, so I worked in a salon in Saskatchewan, Canada from 2000, and I graduated school. I went to school in 2001, graduated early 2002, started working in a salon. In 2005, I just packed up, moved over to the UK, started working there in the Aveda Global Headquarters, which was so amazing. I got to watch Antoinette Beenders and Ian Michael Black work and see how they did things. And then after a year of being there, I went over to Australia and I worked under Anthony Nader, which was so amazing. But I was overcome with intense anxiety. I felt like I was in over my head. I felt like an imposter. And so I wish I could do over that part, and I wish I could have realized that it was the anxiety that I was feeling, because I didn't realize that all of this, my body shutting down and this intense fear like my life was gonna collapse in front of me, it was really scary. I didn't recognize back then, and that was 2006, that was anxiety. And so if I would have had the proper tools, I would love to go back and do those traveling years all over again and stay traveling for longer. I traveled for 2 years. I got to see all sorts of bits and pieces of Europe while I lived in the UK, and Australia I got to live in, which was always a dream of mine. But I wish I would have done it longer. So Ariel, I hope that answers your question. That's something I definitely would have done more, is I would have pushed through the anxiety, which I feel I'm doing now. I've really overcome a lot of the anxiety I felt in my career in the last 3 years. And that's why I'm here now for you guys, to help share with you so you can better be equipped. So when those things happen in your life, in your career, you don't end up like me and pack it all up and come home. And I don't want to say I regret it. I learned and grew from it. But if that's one thing that, if there's one thing I'd want to do over, that's 100% it. Okay, next. Oh, this is a good one. So this is Philocally YEG, sorry. How to get people to take you seriously when you're just in a home salon. That's a really great question, and it's one that I hear a lot. And this is what I always say is, you teach people how to treat you. You teach people how to respect you. And so I worked from my home for the first year that I lived here in Calgary, and I just positioned myself as not a home-based business. Yes, I worked from home, but I really taught and communicated like the things I had done, the education I had taken, why I'm a professional, and then said I choose to work at home. And so there is that stigma, I understand. And my friend Jamie, if you follow her, it's _seriously_, and you can go back and there's a podcast with her. I think it's the one just before this one, talking about being an at-home hairstylist. But yeah, there's that stigma put on it. And so I think what we have to do and what you have to do is to get people to take you seriously is to show up like a serious hairstylist. And so just like really educating your clients and communicating clearly that this isn't just a hobby, this isn't just something you do in the evenings in your kitchen on your kitchen sink, but that you've set it up in an environment so they're not even feel like they're in your home and you're going to take it seriously and this, that, and other, and you know, like letting them know it's not in the corner in the basement by the TV and that sort of thing. That would be my answer to that question, showing them that yes, it is in your home, but you are not the quote unquote home salon that the stigma is around. Oh, right. Okay, I like this one. Can we be friends forever? Yes, of course. Okay, so what is the process of employee to your own business? What was the process of employee to your own business look like? And that's by Hair by Mar. That's a really good question. Now, there's going to be very different versions of this depending on who you speak to and what happened to them. But what happened to me is I just decided I was working in a salon that I loved working in. Our boss was amazing. She worked with us. I remember asking her, before I went and lived in Australia, I went there for 6 weeks on a vacation. And I remember going to her and her name was Tony. And I was like, Tony, I really want to take 6 weeks off. Like I was 19 at the time. I'm like, I just want to go travel and have fun, but I don't want to lose my job. And I love working here. And her response to me was, well, let's make this work. If I give you 6 weeks off, what are you going to give to me? And she was just an amazing boss that way. She showed me that she was willing to do things for me if I was willing to do things for her back. So you know, whatever, I went traveling and all this stuff, and I really loved where I worked. And then ownership changed, and the new owners, they were new owners, and I have so much more appreciation for it now. And they weren't doing anything wrong or bad or illegal, but a lot of the bonuses and the perks for working there got taken away. And not taken away, that sounds negative, but they were trying to learn how to run a business. And from my perspective, it wasn't the same. It wasn't too good to leave anymore. And that was the thing, is when I worked in the salon as a commission stylist, I had dreams and hopes and stuff, but it was too good to leave. It's so good. If I wanted to take 6 weeks off, I could negotiate with my boss in a way that we could make it work. It was too good to leave. But then all of a sudden it was no longer too good to leave. And so I decided to pursue my dreams, and I'm so thankful I did. And so I started looking for spaces. There was no salon suites. That wasn't a thing at the time. And I knew I didn't really want to be a boss at that time. So I found a 400 square foot space that had been a salon for like 20 years. And I decided to take the leap. I remember my rent was like $800 a month, and it scared the crap out of me. I'd gone overseas and stuff, but I'd never moved salons within the same city. So I wasn't sure if my clients would leave. And to be completely transparent, I gave my 2 weeks notice at the salon I worked at, and they decided to walk me out that day, just pay me out my 2 weeks rather than me work out, which, before anyone, that's totally legal. That's what a lot of corporate places do. It took me by surprise. It shocked me. It upset me emotionally because I had such a strong bond and been there for so long. It felt like family, and so I was bummed out about it. But in hindsight, it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. It gave me an extra 2 weeks to get set up in my salon and to get taking new clients. And so my transition looks a little bit different. I think there was maybe some hurt feelings involved and stuff that, weren't intentional by any means. But that's what happens sometimes in our industry, or just even when you feel like a connection, it's more than just business, and it's hard. And so that was a bit about my transition. That was back in 2010, which is insane that it's been a decade of being self-employed, paying my own bills, being my own boss, and it has been amazing. All right. How can I build my clientele and make more money? I feel like I'm struggling. Beauty by TNT. That is such a great question. How can I build my clientele and make more money? I feel like I'm struggling. Now, first of all, I want you to go, and this isn't like to break for an ad or anything, but I want you to go to donbradley.com/playbook and get my client attraction playbook. It's 7 plays on how to build a clientele quickly. So I really believe in this playbook because, as you know, I started out in 2002 building my clientele. Then I went to the UK, then I went to Australia, then I came back home, and then I started my own business, and then I moved across the country and started all over. And what I learned was, by the time that I came that last move, I built my clientele so much quicker. And it's not because I had some magic answer. It was because through all that time of all those different building of clienteles, I knew what worked and what didn't work. I knew what was gonna work for me, and I'd only used what was gonna work. And now I'm sharing that with you. So the answer to that is to go get that playbook, because I don't even need to go into all that right now, and make more money. I think you should really get on the wait list for my Rock Your Business program, because I go deep into, that's not an answer I can give you really quickly, but I think my quick answer for that will be show up to work like it is work. I hope that's helpful. So many times we love our job. We have so much fun with it. We get to hang out with our clients, but we forget that it is work. It is stuff that we do have to show up and be intentional. And I've had clients who just are students of mine that have decided to show up at work like it is work. And they've made an extra $300 in 1 week without working an extra minute, just being intentional about showing up to work. So I hope Beauty by TNT, that helps. All right, so this is another one kind of along the same lines. How do you get clients to keep coming back, and how do you find them on Instagram or in the streets? Glam by Steph. So this is really, really important one, and this is one that I go deeper into inside of my Rock Your Business program. Just a side note, if you guys are at all interested in getting more deeper level coaching from me, you can get on the wait list. It's not open for enrollment all the time because we do it as a group and as a community, and I dive deep. It's not just coaching, telling you step by step, but it's mentorship as well, where I'm helping you along the way, week by week, answering your actual questions. So Glam by Steph, I want you to go to donbradley.com. Oh, maybe this is the wrong link. /RYB. I believe that's it. And you can get on the wait list right there you'll get first dibs on when it opens. But the one thing that I do dive deeper into with that is you want to create an experience over an appointment. People go out of their way. Think about some of the places you go and you'll go out of your way for just because of the experience, not necessarily the appointment you're wanting to go for. And so I want you to start thinking about that. How can they're coming to you for hair or whatever it is that you do? Maybe it's nails or massage, or, I have a lot of you that follow that aren't just hairstylists. Think about how above and beyond the service they're coming to pay for, how can you create it into an experience? I do candy bags and chai tea lattes. My dog Leroy used to come to the salon with me before he passed, and people loved his puppy snuggles. It was amazing. Think about how you can create your appointments into experiences instead. Also, how do you find them on IG or in the street? I'm just going to refer you back to my playbook. It's completely free. donbradley.com/playbook. It's going to tell you step by step exactly how to grow your clientele. Okay, how can I be more profitable and not lose clients when I raise prices? Tease Hair Girl. Oh my goodness, I love this question. Okay, so you can be more profitable when you raise your prices. The thing is that when you raise your prices, you will lose clients. And that is generally the goal of when you raise your prices. Now, this is the one thing that I talk a lot about is that when I've been coaching, I've been high level coaching some of my students one-on-one. So I have a handful of people that I take on every year to coach one-on-one, and I go through it with them. And the way I prep them, and I'm going to give you a little insider one-on-one coaching right now, is that I tell them, you're going to lose people. What happens when you raise your prices, it means you lose people to make room for the people that will pay the new prices. And so we know it in our head logically. Okay, I'm going to lose some clients because I'm going to raise my prices. I get it. Yep. And then we raise our prices and we lose some clients and we freak out. And it's normal. Everyone does it. So don't worry. The thing is you are going to lose clients, which then takes me back to the playbook and tells you, you know what, you use the playbook not just when you're building your clientele the first time, but it means it's going to create a little bit more work for you. You're going to have to start learning how to communicate your value to people to find those clients that find value in what you have to offer. Or have your clients doing the work for you, letting your clients know, I love having you in. I would just so you know, I've had more openings come up in my schedule. I'd love to have more people just like you in my chair. If you would love to refer anyone like you, I would absolutely love that. And so also I have, just like telling you guys, because I really want to help you guys. The reason why I have all this is to help people just like me, because I know we're the same kind of people, avoid all the things I had to go through in the last, I think it's 19 years I've been in this industry. All the ups and downs. I want to give you the fast track way. Now you're going to have your own bumps and and roadblocks and things, but avoid the ones that I avoided. There's no like golden glittery path to success. But if I can help share and help you avoid some of those things, I really want to do that. So the playbook is one of them. I also have a free email template that you can use to help break the news to your clients that you're raising your prices. That's donbradley.com/prices. Rather than me going deep dive into that right now, you guys can just go and get that right away. Okay, Pamela Does Hair asks me, how do you stay motivated? Oi, girl, let me tell you, today I have procrastinated doing this podcast for like 4 hours. It's really hard. I am not necessarily I haven't been diagnosed. I'm pretty sure I would be ADD. I'm also a huge procrastinator. And the more I procrastinate something, the more I get anxious about it. And the more I get anxious about it, the more I procrastinate it. And so it turns into this vicious cycle. And sometimes I just have to like pull the trigger and go do the thing. And I actually feel better about it. But there's this weird thing with me, and I'm still diving deep into it, is that I procrastinate the things I actually want to do. And I procrastinate things, and I really believe it's a form of self-sabotage, because these things could be really amazing. I enjoy doing this. I have so much fun with you, but I still procrastinate and avoid it. I think because it's going to take a little bit of effort, and it makes me feel uncomfortable. And it's also putting myself out there, making me feel extremely vulnerable at times. I always have vowed this podcast and my education is going to be 100% honest and real and vulnerable. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I'm not going to sell you some sort of glittery package. I'm going to be real and honest. And that means being a little bit vulnerable. But how do I stay motivated? The short answer is I just remember who I'm helping. And I want to be the person I wish I would have had around 10 years ago. And so I just do it. I have this I have this notebook I write down like stuff in every morning, and it says this is for her. And that her is you and you and you and you and you and the girl I used to be. This is for her. And that's how I stay motivated, and that's how I show up. Okay, Ariel Burton, how do you not become attached to your clients? I don't know if there is a way to not be attached to your clients. It's hard. And I've gone both ways, where I've gotten extremely attached to my clients, but then I've also gotten extremely detached because I felt like there was a lack of boundaries. And so I think it takes some consciousness and reevaluating constantly, like, how do I feel after that appointment? And also knowing that it's business. And so a lot of times what's happened to me, Ariel, is that I've gotten so attached, and then I get really bummed out when I don't see a client. And so I've created boundaries with my clients where I can still feel like I'm friends with them. one of my things is I don't follow clients on social media anymore. And I get some of them harassing me, and we joke about it and we go back and forth. But my reason for this is I know that there's a start to an end to everything. And that's not to sound cynical or jaded. I know it kind of does. But there really is a start and an end to everything. And so learning, realizing that has made me realize, like, you know what, clients aren't going to stay with me forever, and that's okay. And it can mean that we can still care about each other and we can see each other and say hi, but it just kind of takes this pressure off of feeling like it's got to be forever. And then if there comes a time where they have to move, their budget changes or their style changes and they want to see someone else, I'm not going to take it personally. And every morning I put this force field around myself. It's very visualization of negativity can't touch me. And some days when I'm tired, I'm feeling weak, the force field's like only here. And then there's sometimes where it's like way far out. And that's when I'm feeling strong and I've taken good care of myself and I see negativity can't touch me and what other people think of me is none of my business. And knowing that it's not personal, I'd really suggest reading the 4 Agreements book. It's amazing. But know that that's one of the things that I do to help me. All right, you guys, these are so many questions. I think this needs to become like a 2-parter podcast because there's just so much. I don't even know if I can get to it all, but I'll answer a couple more. Another one, how do you stay so motivated? That's from Beck's Beauty. See above. It's hard. And I love that you guys think I'm super motivated. I struggle with it still. But once again, remembering who I'm doing this for, what I wish I would have had, and how I can help you. Okay, your best advice to become a speaker and educator at events. That's a really great question. So just put yourself out there. Ask for it. Let people know that you do it. Have a reason or something that you talk about, a topic. You guys know that I talk a lot about anxiety within the hairdressing world. I talk about communication and boundaries. Those are my things. Have like a very specific area. That would be my other one. Okay. Okay. Last question. And then we're going to make this a 2-parter because it's just so good. And I want to make this, I don't know what I'm trying to say. We're going to make this 2-parter because it's getting long. So what would you have done differently opening up your own space? That's from Macy. Great question, Macy. What would I have done differently? I don't know if I do anything differently. The one thing I'm really, really proud of actually is that I never have taken out a loan for my business, ever. I've never gone into debt for my business yet. And I'm not saying you can't or you shouldn't, but I just didn't. I decided to work to make the money to pay for the things. So when I first started opening up my business, I guess maybe the one thing I would do differently is not be so scared that people weren't going to come, that I just worked whenever, however, all the time, because I had this scarcity fear. All of a sudden, going from commission stylist, I was fine. You know, someone would call the front desk, the receptionist would say, Dawn doesn't have an opening, or that's her day off. And I didn't have control over that. And so either that person booked with me another time or didn't book at all, but I wasn't aware of that. Now, all of a sudden I was answering those calls because that's what we do. And if you guys are listening, you don't see the hand gesture I'm making, but I'm putting like the hand up to my mouth. And all of a sudden when they're like, oh, that's not going to work for me, I was scared that I was going to lose business. And even though nothing really changed from being commissioned to being self-employed, I just knew that I needed to pay these bills, and that fear set in. And so I worked 7 days a week. I worked 12 to 15-hour days. And that's the one thing I would stick to, have a schedule, maybe be a little bit flexible in the beginning because I wanted that income coming in. But other than that, I'm really proud of how I did it. I started small. I grew, and I did things as I could afford them. Amazing, you guys. This has been so fun. I love all your questions. There's so many more to get through. So stay tuned to part 2 of this episode. And let me know if you guys like this. Leave a review. Share this with your friends. I'm doing this for you to make your life easier, to get rid of all that anxiety. So I would love if you shared it with people and let me know what you think, and let's share your questions about what you would like me to answer for you.